Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Caneo Open Space Conservation Agency to order. If you would all stand and join me in pledging the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Can we have the roll call, please?
Director Newman?
Here.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Sullivan? Here. Vice Chair Huffer?
Yes.
And Chair Engler is absent.
You gonna do that now or later? Okay, yeah. All right, so next on our agenda, we have presentations and announcements, and there's something about a commendation for Matt somebody or other. So are you going to handle that, Brian?
I will start off, and then everybody will get a chance to glorify Matt. But tonight we will be presenting a commendation to our Conejo Recreation and Park District's Park Superintendent and leader of COSCA's Field Division, Matt Kuba, who will be retiring before our next COSCA board meeting. Matt has been with the CRPD since 1997, simpler times before the dawn of smartphones and electric motorcycles, and when the most visited website on the internet was AOL. So we're dating him. Through the years, Matt has served as COSCA ranger, recreation leader, and eventually a park superintendent, where he supervises COSCA's ranger program. I'll note up front that Matt may be accepting this commendation this evening under duress. You see, Matt is more of what you would call a soul conservationist. He has dedicated his career not to accumulating trophies, but accumulating and sharing vital information about the natural world that has helped generations appreciate and want to protect nature. He embodies the goals of COSCA, and his leadership in the organization has kept COSCA's open space and field programs always moving forward. As my counterpart at the CRPD, I valued the experience he shared with me, and as we have continued to seek improvements in COSCA operations and manage the fallout of unpredictable events such as periodic wildfires, a COVID epidemic, and the advent of the electric motorcycle that test our agency's resources and stress our natural resources. When unpredictable things happen and there's not a script to fall back upon, I've appreciated having a creative thinker like Matt on our team. Since I began with COSCA here, Matt has been my key partner in a couple recent successes, such as reestablishing our supervising ranger position, expanding ranger staffing resources, finding a new facility to house our COSCA rangers, and increasing the use of technological systems to help us achieve and track COSCA's goals and accomplishments. As a former ranger himself, Matt has been a strong advocate for rangers and has recruited an extremely talented ranger corps that we have today, many of whom are here visiting. Thank you for being here. While Matt may be retiring from the CRPD, he is unlikely to retire from thinking about things and doing things. Matt is a creative, a teacher, a builder, and a family man who will have plenty to keep him busy. And he can start by building a new wall in his house to hang his commendation on. Matt, we wish you many years of enjoyment in your retirement, and as you depart from COSCA, we will leave you with one final admonition. Matt, be good. I will now send it back to the board if you have comments, and then if there are, we can welcome public speakers.
Thank you very much. Any board comments? Director Nichols.
Sure, I'll be happy to start. First question is, Matt, how do you retire at age 39? I mean, it just seems like you just have that youthful. No, that's the gray hair is premature. I know you're much younger than that because you just have this energy about you that is well below your years. And I've always appreciated your enthusiasm and the infectious way that you go about doing your job. And just the legacy that you leave behind is phenomenal. We just heard just a smattering of that, but I know it goes back decades and all the contributions that you have made, both directly to the Park District, but also to the Open Space Agency. But I think with the expectations that you have laid forth and trying to fulfill those personally, that others have followed along beside you and also behind you to follow in your footsteps. So appreciate that. I know many of us will look at trails and think of your contributions to that. I mean, just some of our park facilities. I mean, everywhere around our community, you have literally laid your footprint and your thumbprint on that. And as was kind of alluded to with Brian Stark, he says, I don't really want too many accommodations or notifications. It's just a matter of getting things done. So I appreciate that effort, that extra effort to kind of just see that things get done right and timely. And I know that our community is more than blessed to have had you, and we're still grateful that you're still going to be around. And I'm sure we can find some volunteer opportunities for you. So thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, Director Nichols. Yes, Director Newman.
Thank you. I like the pictures you put up with each of your presentations. And I think we're all much richer for what they show. I want to echo all that's been said. And also add that although this agency has conservation in its title, and although you've done a masterful job of that for many years, you've done much more than that. You've extended, enhanced, not only the land, but the many residents and others who come and use this land. And we're all much richer for that. And I'm very grateful and glad you'll still be around. I just want to give my thanks for all you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sullivan.
Absolutely. Matt, I feel like I've known you for a very long time, and you are part of the open space. We always enjoy your presentations. As I said before, I wonder, we'll miss the sunset pictures that you always shared with at the end of presentations. I'm thankful for having been able to work with you as we were developing Sapwe Bike Park, because you were a fierce advocate and such a good partner in really helping make a creative recreation space there. So I know you'll be around. I know I'll see you if you're, maybe we can get you to help coach Emery's and you can get out on the mountain bike with us. That's where we'll get you. So thank you for all you've done, and we'll miss you.
Matt, I want to add my thanks. I'm sure we're going to have at least one opportunity at a future CRPD board meeting, but since this is a COSCA meeting, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for our open space. I know, whenever we go out and working on trails or hiking in the trails, more often than not, you're out there. The staff that you have trained and managed over the years has made our open space facilities just absolutely world class. Certainly going to miss having you around. I'm hoping that I'll at least still continue to run into you periodically over at the soccer fields as you are very quietly and calmly cheering on your grandson. But and I will miss your sunset pictures at the end of each of your presentations. So thank you.
Super brief. We're going to appropriately throw a party for Matt at CRPD, so this will be really brief. But Matt is like a fire putter-outer for us. He's like a first responder. So when it comes to real disasters, fire, floods, all of the things that we've experienced, Matt is the CRPD field guy, whether it's for CRPD developed parks or COSCA open space, that communicates with the suits here at the Emergency Operations Center. So he does a fantastic job and has done that for years. He's the fire extinguisher when it comes to our complaints that come in. Believe it or not, occasionally we'll get a complaint at CRPD about something or another involving the parks and what's going on in them. And as the park superintendent, he has the role of trying to figure out how to solve it and fix it. And then in Matt's personal life, he plays with fire and is always messing with fire, and you have to know him. So He's a reduce, reuse, recycle kind of guy. So we have a temporary gift in your honor, Matt, that has to be returned to Hillcrest Center by tomorrow morning. So, Matt, thanks for being our first responder and fireman.
Thank you very much. We do have a couple of public speakers. The first one, and I'm not sure who's controlling the Zoom, but we have a speaker by Zoom, Shelley Mason.
Hi. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, there we go. Hi. Congratulations, Matt. I can't believe you're retiring. Even though I know you've been working. Is this coming through?
We can hear you, Shelley. We just don't see you at the moment.
Okay. Sorry. I'm not sure why it's not showing me. Okay, I guess I'll just speak because I don't see that my video is off anywhere. Anyway, congratulations, Matt. I know you have been working in open space for decades, and it was my pleasure to work with you I think we worked together about 17 years. You taught me so much about the open space system and how to solve problems in the open space. And it was just such a pleasure to work with you. I always knew I could call you if I had any questions or needed help or needed some advice. And like Jim said, you always had really unique solutions to things that seemed to be sort of unsolvable. And I always really appreciated that. I always also appreciated your friendship. You're just such a nice person. You're so kind and easy to talk to and really fun and funny. And when I think of you, I think of someone who is so unique and like unique in the coolest possible way. Not only are you an amazing open space professional, but you were always involved in the most interesting things, from going to Burning Man to raising bees to raising chickens to spinning fire. I don't even know what that's called, but it was so cool to watch you do that. To wrangling whips and building guitars and renovating an RV. And I also really appreciated how you were such a community builder, and you would come up with these really cool ideas for like spoken word events and, you know, other community gatherings that were really unique to the Thousand Oaks area. And I love just everything you brought to the community and to all of our lives as your colleagues and your friends. So thank you for everything you've done for the open space and for the time I got to spend with you as your colleague. And I wish you many, many more beautiful sunsets. And hopefully some of those will be around the world where maybe you and Beth will travel. So congratulations.
Thank you, Shelley. We appreciate that. We also have, and this is actually live and in person, Elaine Hagan. You could come up to the podium, please, Elaine.
Is this on? I don't know. Yeah, okay. I can't believe this is happening. I'm Elaine Hagan, representing the Conejo Open Space Foundation. None of the other COSCA board directors could be here tonight, but they will all extend their personal good wishes to you at a future event. They all say hello. I barely remember a time when you were not part of COSCA, Matt. It seems like you were always here, and you've certainly always been here for the foundation. You've helped us enormously, and you've always been really supportive of our efforts. Thank you for that. We're going to miss you a whole lot, and we wish you and Beth the best in your next chapter. So be good, as you always like to say to us, and please don't be a stranger. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. And I guess we have to do something official here, right? And do we have something that goes along with this? All right, so we've had all the informal congratulations and all that. Nobody back there wants to speak? Boy, feel free, go right ahead.
You're not the boss of me.
Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a park ranger with Conejo Open Space. I just wanted to say thank you, Matt, for your service. When I applied for the job here, I didn't have a ton of background in open space, and you had faith in me, you saw potential, and you really helped mentor me in this role, and definitely say that it made a huge impact on my life trajectory. So for that, will always be grateful.
Thank you very much. That's great. That's great. Okay. Anybody else back there want to say a few words? It's your last chance. Well, you might have another chance later, but okay. So if you want to come up, Matt.
You guys want to do it that way you'd be on camera better. If you do it at the podium, you'll be on camera.
Should I go over there?
Yeah.
All right. So don't step on Max. Unfortunately, they gave me the big print version so I can read it. I couldn't possibly read everything that you have on there. So, officially, whereas Matt Kuba has had a long and storied career in the great outdoors and has served as an educator, recreation supervisor, land survey technician, wildland firefighter, naturalist, and all-around open space expert, and whereas Mr. Kuba's tenure at CRPD began within 5 years as a COSCA ranger and concluded with 18 years as park superintendent, where he oversaw operations and maintenance for over 50 parks and special facilities, as well as more than 150 miles of trails, thousands of acres of open space, by developing capable and reliable staff in several CRPD departments, as well as COSCA rangers. And whereas Mr. Kuba served as the main point of contact for COSCA ranger field operations in good times and bad, including many challenging wildfires such as Easy, Herbs, Woolsey, Hill, Potrero, Springs, Sherwood, Topanga. They're following you around. And whereas Mr. Kuba has been a passionate advocate for open space, public access, which has helped create and maintain the open space and trail system which made Thousand Oaks so special, now therefore the Conejo Open Space Conservation Agency Board of Directors do hereby commend Matt Kuba as a true conservation and recreation leader and thank him for his many years of service to open space in the Conejo Valley. Matt, thank you.
Let you step out.
Do I get a rebuttal?
Just real quick, I have a story that I often tell, and I always tell everybody, especially the Rangers, if you hear me telling a story a second time, you put your finger on your side of your nose, and that way I know I've told you that story before. But so this starts off with stop it, Jim. This starts off with a little story that I've always loved. So this years ago, this man and woman were walking along the side of a lake. The guy picks up a rock and he hands it to his female friend and says, "Hey, throw it." So she takes the rock and she throws it, and it skips 3 times and sinks to the bottom of the lake. Eons later, that was that rock's favorite day. I say this because everything we do, the Rangers, all of you, our park staff at CRPD, create those kind of memories, from watching a sunset from Lizard Rock, walking your dog for the last time in a park, scoring a basketball, scoring in baseball, scoring in soccer, getting to ride a mountain bike up a hill that you've never made it up before, going to see a band that you've wanted to see, having a nice picnic. All those things you will remember eons later. So everybody here and that has been here has a part of that. So just remember, people are going to remember what you did. All right? Thanks.
Matt, thank you.
Now it's even more confusing. Now he's got to back up. One, two, seven. There you go. Nicely done. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4, public comments. I do have a speaker card from Emery, and I apologize if I butcher the last name, Juhas? Ah, I did it, okay. If you'll go up to the podium, please.
I've been volunteered for this. Okay, you can hear me here. Okay, so we back up to open space, and we got some neighbors here that, you know, are in the same situation. And considering the fires here in the last go around, and actually the last 10 or 15 years even, we realize that there are going to be more changes coming. I don't know how to say this exactly, but fire prevention is going to be a huge topic in the future here, I'm pretty sure. And because that relates to other issues like homeowners insurance and so on. Anyway, so currently there's this 100-foot area that we take care of. But we really don't think that's enough, and we'd like to see if it's possible that people begin to think about, I don't know, whether it be the government or even us, whatever, maybe take it back to 200 feet, you know, for that purpose of prevention. And I know this is just one little piece of the puzzle for all that's going to happen here in the future, but I really think, you know, or at least that's what we believe, that we need that extension out there. So did I cover what we're kind of here for? And we just want, what we want is for people to begin to start talking about it. And eventually, I know the wheels of government sometimes move a little slow, but again, I think, you know, it's possible. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of folks that are willing to do more to make that happen if possible. So, because I know we would go ahead and spend a little money to clean up. There's a lot of brush back there that needs to be cleaned up. Mainly that, you know, and maybe thin it out a little bit, and that's it. You know, we're not talking about wiping out the whole, you know, space there. But, yeah. So that's it. Did I cover it? Okay. And does anybody Anybody else want to elaborate on that? So we're going to be back, and we're hoping that maybe we can start talking about it. Okay? Thank you. This is Deer Ridge. Oh, yeah.
We're up in Deer Ridge, and our property.
Excuse me, could you go to
Go
the microphone there, please?
Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. Bill Matlock, resident, Newbury Park, 20 years, up in Deer Ridge. Right, so we do our brush clearance every year, and the 100 feet, like Emery said. But when you look beyond the fence, it's dense. And, you know, the 20 years that I've been here, like I used to be able to see the trail, and we can no longer see the trail. And so when these fires start to come through, we start to get really concerned. And I don't think we've had a fire on our ridge in probably 25 to 30 years. I think it's been that long. 93, yeah. Okay, very good, right. And so we're just trying to start the conversation to see what's possible. And I don't know if it's 100 feet, if it's 200 feet more in clearance. But at some point, I think instead of us always being so concerned about how we're fighting fires, I think we really have to start to tackle the challenge of how do you mitigate and avoid fires. And so I was graciously invited by Holly and Emery, so I look forward to having open discussions about what's possible. Okay.
Great, thank you both for your comments. And Emery, if you know, this is simply public comment, but if you'd be willing to give us your contact information, that way someone in our staff can contact you with a phone number or email address, so we get that from you. We'd appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much. Item 5, consent calendar, approval of minutes from the prior meeting. There's someone to...
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you very
Seconded.
much. We have a motion and a second. Since I come from a Park District background, we usually just do it by voting, but I guess we need a roll call vote for each of these.
I don't believe it's necessary, but you can.
I would just say all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, the action items, 6A, annual board organization. I'm going to start with you, Brian.
Yeah, I'll kick this one off. In accordance with the provisions of Article 8 of the COSCA Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement, the COSCA Board shall elect a chair and vice chair each year. Section 12 of the COSCA Manual of Procedure indicates that the election shall occur at the first regular meeting of the calendar year, which is this year. Our current director is Director Engler, and our current vice chair is Director Huffer. Also, Article 8 of the JPA further states that the board shall appoint a board secretary. The secretary may but need not be a member of the board. The current COSCA board president is me. As the board secretary is not an ex officio position, it's recommended that the appointment of a board secretary occur on an annual basis. With that, I will turn it over to you and the board to determine the chair and vice chair and secretary. And part of your motion, when you come to that, will also need a finding that this is not an action as defined under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Okay, thank you very much. You've already mentioned the not defined under CEQA, so the second portion of this is discussion and election of board chair. I guess we'll open up the table to nominations. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to nominate the current Vice Chair, Director Huffer, to be next year's chair, and further to find that said nomination is CEQA exempt.
Thank you very much. Do we need a second on this?
Normally,
You don't need a second on this.
Okay. Are there any further nominations? If not, I would entertain a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Okay. I hate to say it, but I've been nominated for chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Darn. Okay, thank you very much.
This one we should have a roll call.
Okay, this we do need a roll call. All right.
Director Newman,
Aye.
Director Nichols,
Yes.
Director Sullivan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Huffer.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. Next item of business, discussion and election of vice chair. Director Nichols.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to nominate our current mayor, Director Newman, to be serving as vice chair.
Thank you very much. We get a second on that?
We just need to,
And
just need to close.
as a reminder,
Oh, okay,
you're
all
also
right. Are there any
moving-
further nominations?
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
I just want to clarify that the motion is also to find that motion is CEQA exempt.
Oh, we have to do that for
Read
each
all that.
one. Okay. All right, yes. And it is, as Director Newman said, CEQA exempt.
Very nicely, efficiently stated, thank you. All right, are there any further nominations? If not, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of
I think we need a
Director Newman,
we need a
we
roll
have
call.
Roll
to,
call. Yeah.
we have to do a roll call vote.
Just keep it on. It's on our
Director
phones.
Newman,
Aye.
Director Nichols,
Yes.
Director Sullivan,
Aye.
Chair Huffer.
Yes,
Motion carries 4-0.
thank you very much. And then the final item for discussion is appointment of board secretary. Open up the floor for this. Yes, Director
I-
Sullivan.
I would like to nominate Mr. Stark to continue in that role
All right, and does she need to go through
and
the?
define that as being CEQA exempt.
Very well done. Thank you very much.
Third time's a charm.
Any further nominations for this position? If not, do we need a roll call on this as well? Madam Secretary?
Vice Chair Newman, Director Nichols,
Yes.
Director Sullivan,
Aye.
Chair Huffer.
Yes,
Motion carries 4-0.
thank you very much. Okay, so I believe we're done with 6A. Moving on to 6B, the annual financial report for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Stark, are you starting this off?
I will go ahead and do this. We didn't have somebody available from the finance department today, so you'll get my explanation of our annual report and finances. This is simply an action for the board to accept and file our annual audit for fiscal year 23-24, and of course make a finding that that this item is also CEQA, not a project that's defined under CEQA. Each board member has received a copy of the audited financial statements compiled for COSCA by the accounting firm of Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott. This firm serves as the external auditor for the city of Thousand Oaks, and because the city's finance department serves as COSCA's finance department, COSCA's accounts are audited in conjunction with those of the city. I'll summarize a few of the highlights of the report and will be available for questions. COSCA's net position over the year increased by $21.8 million to a total of $119.1 million at fiscal year end. Our capital assets increased $21.5 million for an ending balance of $108.7 million. This increase is related to additions of $21.6 million related to, these are land transfers to COSCA. Over the years, the City Council has approved transfers of open space properties owned by the city to COSCA in 2008, 2010, and 2022. The records of ownership don't change, though, until the deeds are filed. So COSCA last year did a roundup of all the properties that were approved for transfer that had not yet been transferred, and we transferred, I think it's about 150 properties from the city to COSCA, so thus the large price tag. The basis value and the book value of those properties were established at the time of acquisition, and that's basically when if there's an appraisal and it was a purchased property, then that's the booked value. A lot of the open space that was transferred came in the form of dedications from as part of development conditions. So in those, the city uses, a rougher formula to determine a book value for those because they didn't do appraisals as part of those transactions. COSCA's program revenues increased $14.4 million compared to prior fiscal year, primarily due to the capital grants and contributions, which are in the form of that land as well. We also received $0.4 million in operating grants and contributions for maintenance and restoration of open space. These were grants that COSCA received from the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy to do emergency access road repairs at Lang Ranch and to do additional fuel modification projects in Arroyo Conejo. Program expenses decreased by $0.3 million, primarily due to overall decreases in open space maintenance and restoration costs. COSCA ended with $10.3 million in cash and investments that is held for future open space acquisitions and maintenance. This is an increase of $0.4 million compared to the prior fiscal year, and some of that funding came in the form of when we settled our issues with Southern California Edison after the Woolsey fire, and we received our settlement. The attorneys held back I think this was $260,000, for costs that would happen after the suit. They didn't really spend any of that, so that the holding period ended, and so that money came back over to COSCA, and that just went into the Woolsey Recovery Fund. And with that, I can attempt to ask questions with the understanding that the city's finance system is large and complex, and I have the QuickBooks level of understanding.
Thank you, Mr. Stark. Do we have questions of Mr. Stark? Yes, Director Nichols.
I have a non-monetary question, if that gives you any hope.
Makes me feel better.
Okay. On page 4 of the report, this is the management's discussion and analysis in the second paragraph. In the second line, it's talking about the COSCA governed members, and then refers to one private citizen of the city. My question is, does it have to be a resident of the city, or since the district has a broader footprint, is it also, could it be the district outside of the city, or does it have to be both within the district and city footprints?
No, it would just need to be within COSCA's jurisdictional area, which would be the sum of both boundaries. So we can have this corrected.
I think it would be helpful, but just
I don't ask the auditors about the numbers, and they don't ask me about the verbiage. So we'll get together and figure that out.
I can appreciate that, but I think just to make sure that that's clear for the record.
Yes,
I think that's important. Thank you. That's the only question that I have.
Wasn't even any money. Wow. All right, thank you. Director Sullivan? No? Okay, just a comment. I appreciated your explanation of the $21 million that we increased our assets. I said, did I sleep through the last year and seeing all this stuff come in? So it was mostly just title transfers that now are on our books. So I do appreciate that explanation. Yeah. So, okay. I will entertain a motion to receive and file the document here. Yes, Director Newman?
So moved, and I find it CEQA exempt.
There you go. David's on.
Oh, they're getting the idea. Okay, thank you.
And it needs a second. I'll second.
Great, thank you very much. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chair Newman?
Aye.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Sullivan?
Aye.
Chair Heffer?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 6C, authorization to accept a 10-foot wide trail easement at 702 Herbs.
Yes.
Mr. Stark, are you handling this as well?
I will take care of it. And if you have questions, I have Anna. The item before you tonight is acceptance of a 10-foot wide trail easement at 702 Herbs Road. Of course, the board must first make a finding that this action is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, Title 14, Sections 15061, 15304, and 15317. And you'll have to remember that when you make the motion, by the way. Next, the board is asked to adopt a resolution authorizing acceptance of a 10-foot wide trail easement at 702 Herbs Road. That's APN 670-0-130-080. I do have a brief PowerPoint here that we'll go through as well. So COSCA's Trails Master Plan identifies a vision of a community-wide trail system that includes some trails to be located on private properties. In some cases, these trails are donated, and others they may be granted as a condition of approval for land use entitlement by the City of Thousand Oaks. In this case, this is a map showing where it's at. In this case, the conditions of approval for a church expansion at the Limitless Church at 750 Herbs Road for special use permit number 69-83, major modification number 5, and Planning Commission Resolution 5-2002 include the requirement that a multi-use trail easement be established on the subject property. The trail will be part of a formal trail route from Herbs Road to Glider Hill, which has existed as an informal social trail for many years. So we have a rendering here. To date, staff has secured 3 of the 5 easements necessary to complete the western approach to Glider Hill from Herbs Road. Finalization of this easement acceptance will bring the total number of completed easements to 4. Upon acceptance, COSCA will be responsible for maintaining the easement area, which will primarily concern trail fencing maintenance and tread maintenance. There's no vegetation modification necessary at this time. The trail route's essentially clear. This is what the easement looks like on a, directly on that one parcel. One length of the trail, I think that's the last slide, right, Anna? Oh, here we go. So one trail length remains to be secured for complete access, and staff will be contacting a new landowner along the route where past negotiations were not successful. This trail segment is an important component in the broader trail network in the Conejo Oaks area, and completing the trail is particularly important to our equestrian trail users in the area. Accepting the easement at 702 Herbs Road will help preserve the historic western access route from Herbs. Staff recommend that the board adopt a resolution authorizing acceptance of the 10-foot wide trail easement to be granted by Limitless Church, and authorize the co-administrative officer or designee to accept the easement and execute any documents necessary to effectuate the transaction. With that, I'm available for questions. And
Questions for staff? Director Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. This is a peripheral question to the application before us. It's not about the lot on Herbs Road, but related to the other parcels adjacent that you referenced. Back in the late 20-teens, there was an application for before the Planning Commission of the city for development of a home on Lone Oak, on the east side of Lone Oak. And at the time, there was some question about access to Glider Hill through that property. And some references made saying, well, I'm not sure whether there was a pre-existing easement. The purchaser was saying, well, this is private property. Can you clarify the current status of access all the way from Herbs Road up to Glider Hill?
so I think our map showed that, didn't it? Do we have?
So on the east side.
Here we go. Anna she worked on that easement, so she can explain.
So looking here at this illustration, on the east side of Lone Oak, there's the red dashed line that has the little white highlight in the background. And so that is, I think, the project that Director Newman you're referring to.
Yes, that's right.
So that easement is completed.
Great.
And so the missing link is just the short segment that is at 611 Lone Oak. That is the one last piece, assuming the board votes this evening to accept the easement at 702 Herbs.
And 611 Lone Oak is the property on the west side of Lone Oak?
Yes.
Okay.
In the home with the where you can see there's the large driveway that leads down to it.
Great. So it sounds like the other one has been resolved.
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Director Nichols.
I was just going to mention, going back to a little history, I can remember reviewing this site with Jim Gilmore. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Looking at it, say, boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could get a trail up there to Glider Hill, somewhere through here, and to see how this is pieced together. I think we put it on the master plan then as desirable, but it's nice to see how the pieces over 20, 30, 40 years gradually get snapped together where it comes to fruition. And obviously we have to have, willing partners, whether it's landowners or others, to do that. But I think it just shows how our community is willing to work together to put these systems of trails together. It's nice to see how a little planning, a little effort, and sometimes a little prayer maybe, these things go together. So glad to see that this is pulling together. It'd be nice to get that last piece. But thank you for the update, and glad to see this is moving forward.
Thank you very much. And perhaps you covered this in your presentation, I just missed it, but if this is passed and there just be one remaining parcel that we need to work on, what's the status of that one remaining parcel?
So that one, we were in negotiations with the prior owner, but they've since sold the property, so we have a new owner. So we'll be reaching out to the new owner. So right now there's two potential property owners that could grant that access. So we'll be reaching out to both.
Okay. And are we at least cautiously optimistic?
Like Doug says, sometimes these things take a long time. So I'm hesitant to make promises, but I think, the goodwill of our community is out there, and we do have a community that's using this trail now, so it's not really representing a large change in use. It's just maybe it's an opportunity for liability concerns to be settled.
Okay. Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, I'm going to need a little assistance with the logistics since we're dealing with a resolution. I know how resolutions are handled by the Park District, but I'm not quite sure how they're handled the city and COSCA.
So we will need a roll call, but if you want to move the staff's recommendation, find the project is exempt under CEQA and adopt the resolution as recommended. I think that's all you would need for your motion.
But we're not going to ask our secretary to read the resolution like we do in the Park District. So
We don't need to do that.
okay. All right. In that case, I will entertain a motion from the board. Yes, Director Sullivan.
So moved, and find that this action is categorically exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Sections 15061, 15304, and 15317.
Oh, that just rolled off your tongue, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do we have a motion? Can we get a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Newman,
Aye.
Director Nichols,
Yes.
Director Sullivan,
Aye.
Chair Huffer.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 7,
Did we vote
information.
on the resolution? I apologize. That was the CEQA thing. Did you actually have the resolution as part of that?
Oh, adopt.
Well, I heard all the CEQA language, but I didn't.
Well, she started out by
Staff recommendation, including the adoption of the resolution. Just
Yeah.
to make sure.
Yeah, she said staff
Okay.
recommendation.
That.
Okay.
like I
Yes.
said,
Key.
a little different from the way we handle things in
Yeah.
the Park District. So, okay. Thank you very much. Item 7, 7A, COSCA Volunteer Corps activity.
That is a written report that came in your board package. That's just.
But we are going to have a
just a
verbal
receipt.
report on ranger operations and maintenance activities.
Yes.
For the last time in this organization, Mr. Kuba.
And we have a PowerPoint we'll have for Matt here.
I will say that Ranger Bruce and I trail.
Wow.
Here we go.
Can we get your microphone on? I'm not sure.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
It is on. Okay. So that was the Rangers' activity from basically November through now. Very due to fires and such. I do want to make a point about how we handle fire closure because that is still on everybody's mind. We have a protocol. If there's a red flag warning, that doesn't necessarily close the parks because we do still want to have people in the parks. But any of the other following things, if there's a resource drawdown, meaning that there's a fire someplace else and some Ventura County fire engines are out there, that'll signify or start a closure. Also, if there's an arsonist working in the area, we work very closely with the fire department to keep an eye on that. So if we know that there's something going on, we'll close it with the red flag warning. Just there's some wind things too, but it's a little precarious, but mostly it's the resource drawdown and a red flag warning. That's when we'll close for fire. And then of course for rain, it may be safe to be out there, but if you do get hurt, you're not going to be able to be rescued because emergency services can't get to you. Our clay soils tend to stick to fire trucks very well, so we do close and stay closed until it's safe for rescues, not necessarily the hiking part of it. So that was part of the ranger stuff. Oh, this is cool. This is the recent rain last Thursday. That is the Barranca, just north of Hillcrest, west of Lynn. And you'll see that palm tree there. So the water's about 15 feet deep right there. So pretty dramatic. Stay out of open space when water's flowing, definitely. This is kind of the aftermath. We did have to the rangers had to go through and do some signs and trail cleanup and brush and everything else. And then this is always one of my proud things on the right side is the blowout bridges that they use. Those are very easily replaced by one ranger. We used to have very large bridges, and it would take 5 to 6 rangers to replace those. So we've gone to these, and we get back up to speed very quickly. This is an Eagle Scout project in Hill Canyon. This has been a year in making, trying to get the signs built, designed, printed, and then we had an Eagle Scout come in and actually install them so you can easily find your way in and out from Hill Canyon all the way to Paradise Falls. Really great project. It's beautiful. I love how it turned out. Very classy with the logo. Another Eagle Scout project. Eagle Scout projects are not always easy, and knowing that location and having painted that bridge when I started, that Eagle Scout has poison oak now. But the bridge, this is down at the cave, and it was rebuilt about 15 years ago. The side railings are original, but it does need maintenance, so it was nice to have an Eagle Scout come in and take care of that. Great project. This is one of the Rangers' projects, was to remodel the whole access trail restroom. The Rangers do everything. So, and the whole access trail is a pit toilet. So replacing the vent is not a pleasant experience, but it's a necessity. So that's what they do. They did make contact with a number of electric motorcycles. You can see the one in the center there. That is just absolutely a electric motorcycle, and the damage that those do to the trails and to soccer fields is devastating. It's a almost weekly thing on our sports fields. Our CRPD staff is spending a lot of time repairing fields every week, especially after a rain. You can see the tread there is very aggressive. Electric bikes and cars have immediate acceleration, so they do really fun burnouts, and especially on wet material like mud or on turf. So, and you notice the sign. Oh, if you can go back, Ryan. Notice the sign there. You can't deny that. Yeah. So these were all juveniles. The Rangers stopped them. called their parents and had them come and pick them up. These are not street legal, so they had to get picked up. So hopefully they learned something. In both these cases, the juveniles were very sorry about it, and I think they learned a little bit of a lesson. Okay, now the Rangers did a Wheels on the Bus program for preschool and pre-K kids at Borchard Park. A little bit about how to be a ranger, and they crawl around in the truck, and they get to turn on lights and siren and see the tools and stuff. Very fun. Okay, so this is down in the Barranca. This is a cleanup of some homeless materials that filled up our stake side twice. This was a collection that the Rangers brought over and collected, and this is a weekly experience as well. Just every week, this is what the Rangers do. Oh, and there's a sunset for this. So, and I cheated. That's actually Hawaii from 3 weeks ago when we were there. So, anyway, I'm available for questions. And
Thank you, Matt. Questions? No? Which island in Hawaii?
The Big Island.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. Almost as nice as Oahu, but
I don't know.
yes, Director Sullivan.
I do have one question. The signage in Hill Canyon is amazing. Is there plans or the possibility of having more Eagle Scout projects to put similar signage elsewhere in the open space?
This is an experiment. This is a different style of signage than we've done in the past. We've always done the routed signs, which has that outdoor look. And I really like that, but I'm not going to be here. So if somebody else wants to go forward with that style, that's fine. I think that Hill Canyon was really important because it's very confusing in the canyon, and to be able to have multi-directional things made a big difference because there's a lot of junctions there to deal with. And having that four-sided post works really well.
Agreed. And it's got a small footprint in terms of visually or aesthetically.
Right. The product itself, we haven't used this product, so we'll have to let it sit through a couple seasons of hot sun and stuff and see how it goes. But so far, it looks good.
Director Nichols.
Thank you. Going back to your first slide, you don't need to show it, just regarding the closures of open space. And you're kind of saying there's some protocols for closing it, whether it be for weather, rain, or a potential red flag scenario. Whether it's parks or other areas, I know we don't have a lot of, not fire pits, but barbecue pits. Are those also kind of regulated with those same criteria that when it's high winds or red flag warning that people can't barbecue in the parks, for example? Is that also part of that process?
That should be, yes. And if we get a call that somebody's using, especially wood, we don't allow wood in the the barbecue pits. It's briquettes only. We encourage propane. But if we get a call that there's a wood fire or a briquette fire during high winds, we would definitely go and have a conversation, a little education on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And just a quick question, Matt. Do the Rangers carry around those rabbit masks when they take pictures of the kids, or are those photoshopped on?
Yeah, Photoshop.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. We're going to miss your presentations going forward, so thank you very much for tonight.
And thank you all for all the years of fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, item 8 on the agenda, COSCA updates. Mr. Friedel, do you have anything?
I do not, other than, again, appreciation to Matt.
Thank you. Mr. Stark, do you have anything?
I am good, thank you.
Well, okay, we know you're good, but okay. Item 9, board member comments. Yes, Director Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city makes an annual lobbying trip to Washington where we walk around like this on various projects. One of our asks this year will be for some help in removal of palm trees, including from open space. We don't know whether funding is available. We're asking the question, but given that we know that they've been involved in destruction of at least one house in my neighborhood, and I think more elsewhere. We think this is something that can help build resiliency here.
Okay. Thank you. Director Sullivan.
Just a quick thank you to COSCA staff for all the trail open, close, and getting that information out via social media. Hopefully we've gained some followers in the social media realm as people recognize that is the place to go to know whether it's open or closed. So thank you for your efforts in that.
Here, here.
Thank you very much. Director Nichols.
With Mr. Newman's comment about seeking grant assistance, I just was questioning, just maybe questioning my mind, with the plethora of executive orders regulating things like what you can and can't do if you're in receipt of federal grants. I don't know that it's either you, Mr. Stark, or others kind of keeping a pulse on some of these things, that how that might affect either what grants you apply for or what grants you have, and what you have to do to kind of fall in line to still be a valid recipient of those?
Well, we still track grant availability from multiple agencies, whether that's the state or federal. COSCA doesn't have really any reliance on federal funding, but federal funding does offer the opportunity for slightly larger grants and some larger impact projects, and that's why we went forward with the project on the Palms, which also includes more Arundo removal out of the creek too. Yeah, it's really going to be uncertain going forward, but right now we don't have we don't have eggs in that basket. But we'll be staying in touch with, we also have federal partners in our neighboring open spaces for which we have continuing concern for their staffing and funding. So we'll be kind of keeping our ear to the ground on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could follow up on Director Nichols' question.
Certainly.
I should clarify, this is more of a request for information about what funding is available rather than a specific grant information, a specific grant application rather. I take your question. It's a timely one about what is and isn't forthcoming. We don't know the answer to that. That's one of the questions we'll be asking. And further, we are, and this is an important point, it does touch the insurance comments that were made earlier. It also has another dimension, and this is how we are casting this. It is a strong public safety dimension, and that's how we're presenting it. Is we want to strengthen public safety, and this is one way to do that.
Okay. Nothing for myself other than just I certainly understood. I was a little disappointed that we had to cancel the trail work day a couple weeks ago, but certainly very understandable. So hopefully the next one will come off. So if there are no other board comments, going to move along. Let's see. I believe we do not have need for a closed session. Okay. In that case, item 11, adjournment. I'm going to take it upon myself. I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of Ed Jones, who's a former mayor, former county supervisor, former park district director. If I recall correctly, there's a memorial service for Ed on Sunday. So Ed was longtime contributor to our community, very early contributor for the master plan in our community, and contributed a lot in many ways. So I'd like to adjourn in his memory tonight.